Hey everyone, this week's episode of Witchpolice Radio is brought to you by Fourth Quarter Records. It's a Winnipeg-based label and recording studio home to Threepeat, as well as Eggs solo projects and Charlie Feta. You can find their merchandise, including the awesome new Threepeat hoodies, online at fourthquarterrecords.com. And if you haven't seen these things, you should definitely check them out. I mean, a lot of local artists are wearing them right now, and it's very cool to see the support from across genres. As soon as those Threepeat hoodies came out, I've been seeing all kinds of people posting on social media, and it's, people in rock bands, electronic music, soul music, whatever. They're all sort of sporting the Threepeat gear. So there's definitely a lot of love and support for Threepeat within the local music community at large. And it's very cool to see. On May 25th, our friends at the Park Theatre are presenting the release party for Quiet Dreams, the new album by local indie rockers and past Witchpolice guests Hearing Trees. The event, which actually takes place at the Goodwill Social Club, will include guests The Perms, Micah Ehrenberg, and Sophie Stevens.
You're listening to Garbage Hill, Winnipeg's first podcast network.
Welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm your regular host, Sam, and I am once again at a food court. It seems like half the episodes I do lately are either a food court or Robin's Donuts. But, it works. It's a good daytime meeting place.
You get some nice ambience in there as well.
Yeah, for sure. So, our guest today is someone who hasn't been on the show before, which is kind of good. Every once in a while I get the same people kind of cycling through, but you're new to the show, and I'm very interested in what you're doing, but I think maybe the best way to start is if you want to just introduce yourself, and we can go from there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm Rob Knaggs. I'm originally from Brisbane, Australia. I've been coming to Manitoba for the last 4 years.
Okay.
So I got offered a job up in Churchill, Manitoba to help out, play some music for an open mic night, and then work in a restaurant. Okay. Little did I know that I was going to fall in love with this amazing place in the north of Manitoba.
Yeah.
So you get hundreds of polar bears walking through, you get these amazing northern lights 300 days of the year, and then you get thousands of blue whales coming through the Churchill River and Hudson Bay. And I just fell in love with these whales.
That's awesome.
When I first started playing music, I was studying music, and I'd be walking past this museum in Queensland, called the Queensland Museum, obviously. Okay. We're great with names in Australia,
very
right? Yeah. And we have this massive hall in the entrance where we suspend these two humpback whale models. Okay. And it was insane. I'd walk past with my cello. It was it'd be cool to play in this hall one day. So I just popped my cello out and started playing. Yeah. And the reverb and delay was so massive. It's I could actually make some whale sounds here and see how that goes. So we have all these people walking in and out, and I just started playing these whale sounds, and kids were just losing their mind. They're I can hear whales. I'm oh, cool, nice. It made me wonder, what would it be like to actually play for whales?
For actual legitimate whales.
Yeah, exactly. So in my second year in Churchill, I was all right, okay, I'm going to buy this cello, and I'm going to pitch it to a tour company and be right, I'm going to play for these whales, and they're going to react. Okay. What do you reckon? It's oh yeah, well, they were pretty skeptical at first. They were oh, you're just going to harass them, okay? I'm nah. So I go out onto the boat. As soon as I start playing, whales just start rushing in from all over. It's amazing. It's incredible.
So did you have any idea what was going to happen, or you were just
I did a little bit of research, but a lot of it was hope. So yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you. No, it's a fun idea, and belugas love it. People love it. Yeah. If the belugas didn't like it, they had the whole Hudson Bay and Churchill River to swim away. Right. But the fact was, they just came into the boat and just started vocalizing. So we've got this hydrophone we put in the water as well. Yeah. So we can listen to what the belugas are doing.
So they're singing along, basically. Yeah. Doing this. Awesome.
No, it's fun.
So I guess just to go back, that's super cool. Now I definitely have more questions about that whole side of what you're doing. But
for sure.
How did you find Churchill in the first place? I mean, it's I guess it's known as the polar bear capital of the world and everything like that. But I mean, here it's fairly well known because it's relatively close. But I mean,
it's in your own backyard. But there are so many Winnipeggers that don't go up.
Right.
And they would have a ball, honestly. Churchill's the best.
But how did you even hear about it?
How did I hear about it? I've been obsessed with Arctic wildlife since I was a young kid.
Okay.
So
living somewhere where there's no Arctic wildlife.
Living in 40 plus degrees and humidity and all that. And I'd be watching these documentaries on summer holidays and be polar bears and Arctic wildlife and whatever. And when I was booking this massive trip to go couch surfing across Europe, Scandinavia, North America, my travel agent was so what do you want to do? It was I joked. So I was it'd be cool to see some polar bears. Hey? Yeah. She was right, I did some research. Churchill. I'm
cool.
Looking at the prices, I was it's a little expensive, but I'll keep it in the back of my mind. my high school English teacher found out I was traveling through Canada, and her best friend owns a hotel up in Churchill.
Oh, that's perfect.
And they needed somebody to come up and play music and work in a restaurant. So
I've heard of a few people actually locally, like local musicians who come up for like a few weeks or whatever and do a bunch of gigs.
Yeah, so we had like Kevin Roy and Underwiser. Eli used to live up there, right?
Yeah,
so,
Eli, he actually talked about it on the show.
Oh, no way,
He's
sick.
been on a few times, but he kind of went off on the polar bear. It's very interesting.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, yeah.
Yeah. So, and you just got the gig?
I just got the gig, yeah. So it was like they need somebody to run an open mic once a week, and I just turned it into a big dance party these days, and it's just like, it's good fun.
So how long were you there for the first time?
First time was 6 months, second time was another 6 months. So Churchill kind of works on different sort of seasons. It's very seasonal. So we've got summer where you get polar bears, blue whales, northern lights.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of like a little down period in September. Then it really kicks up for October, November. So what happens is...
As far as tourism and everything?
Yeah, pretty much. The reason it's the polar bear capital of the world is because like Churchill is where the ice starts to form on the Hudson Bay. So polar bears just come flocking in for October, November.
Walk on the,
So then they can go out and hunt seal and get fat and happy. That's how we want our polar bears, fat and happy.
Right, of course. So you don't want to see those starving ones that are just really depressing.
No way, man. Yeah.
So as far as the cello stuff goes, I mean, I'm assuming you'd already had a background in that before.
Yeah, I studied at university. I did a Bachelor of Music there in Brisbane. So,
So had you already been working on your own music?
Somewhat. Like I started playing and I was like, okay, now I need to start writing pieces for Planes to Wales.
Right.
Then I had to go back to Australia to renew my visa and come back to Canada, and I was like, oh man, I miss Churchill. So that's how I wrote my first album. Like I did the first sort of like 4 seasons.
Yeah, I saw that
of Churchill. And I got my friends together. I was like, right, I'm going to describe to you what Churchill is like, and we're going to put it to music. I was like, okay, cool, let's do this.
Was that recorded here or?
No, that was recorded back in Australia.
Okay.
So lots of people were like, this is really interesting, and now I really want to go.
Yeah. Well, because it's so alien, right? I mean, just like Australia is alien to us, like the wildlife and shit down there. It's, I don't know.
No, it's fun, and I'd love to see Manitobans come to Australia and check it out.
Do the reverse, you get some kind of cultural exchange.
Oh man, like get Kevin Roy out there, like so Kevin and I were talking recently. He's like, oh yeah, we need to team up on this tour and do something like that.
Well, he toured constantly too.
He's insane. Like he got involved in this home route sort of thing, and now he's just always on tour.
Yeah, he's been on the show a few times as well. Also, great guy.
Yeah, great dude. Yeah,
for sure. So how do you feel like you fit in musically in terms of, I mean, playing music for Wales is one thing, but how do you describe what you do aside from that? I mean, that's just a part
I don't know, like I kind of call it like cinematic post-rock to people, just to give it like a sort of, so it's kind of like soundtracky, but there's also very sort of dramatic elements to it as well.
Right.
So I have a bunch of loop stations and effects that I use to create this massive soundscape and just build it up. Yeah.
And does the full soundscape of it, is that what you're playing for the Wales, or is it just solo?
Just solo stuff. Like I go out with my electric cello and battery-powered amplifier. But recently I've been able to take out my loop station. I've been using like a car battery recharger.
Cool.
So I've been able to use the loop station and play for Wales. And now we're starting to get tour groups coming up to the boat that I'm actually playing on.
Okay.
And just like sit out and just listen to my music.
Watch it happen. That's cool. That's cool. So how does I guess I'm trying to figure out, how does the whale music, if you want to call it that, how does that play to human ear? I mean, what kind of response do you have from people listening to the stuff you're doing for Wales?
So I have one song that I always close with. I'll send it to you as well. And people just get really caught up in it. It's very dramatic and very sort of like, I don't know, cathartic as well. So what happens is I build this song up. It's very sort of melancholy, and then it just breaks into these massive like whale cries almost. Okay. So very sad, very melancholy.
And how do you come up with that? Like, I mean, is it just from listening to whales and literally
just from listening to whales? So, like, being Australian, like, I live by the coast on the east coast, so we get, the Humpback Highway. We get the Humpback Highway. So when I came back from Churchill to Australia, I was like, I still want to play for whales.
Right.
So I got in touch with this whale watching company on the Gold Coast. Okay. And they were super keen to, like, have me on. And we put the hydrophone in the water. So
now you have experience, right? Doing the
it's something different. Like they hadn't experienced that before. So having these, this cellist come on and play these humpback sounds, 2 humpbacks, like
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Is there something particular that they like to hear? Like, I mean, have you sort of figured out, pinpointed what the whales actually are into? Or?
Well, I know like beluga whales love B flat for some reason.
Okay, that's really weird.
So I was researching a lot. It's like B flat, why? But
is that just like similar to the sound the tone they make?
Yeah. So belugas, very chirpy. So they're called the canaries of the sea.
Right. Okay.
So it's interesting to play sort of like low melancholy sounds to them as well, but still have them react.
Cool. It's super cool. Yeah. It's really weird.
Thank you.
So are you kind of consistently going back and forth country to country, or you were?
No, I'm trying to stay in Manitoba now, so I'm trying to go through the whole process of permanent residency. They're going to keep me out in January next year, which is kind of unfortunate.
You got some time, though, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I've got the application in process now, so it's just a matter of time and waiting. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you obviously like it enough here to stick around.
Man, it's okay. You know?
Yeah.
It's all right.
What was the appeal of the Arctic animals in the first place? Is it just because it was so foreign?
It was just so far removed from what I was doing.
Yeah.
My mom also had this affinity with polar bears, and like we'd go to SeaWorld and do all that.
Okay.
And it's like I try not to these days. But that was her thing.
Reasons, or?
Just ethical reasons. Like I do some work for a company called Sea Shepherd in Australia as well. And so we do a lot of work with safe and humpback whales, and like animals in captivity aren't really cool.
Yeah.
Polar bears in Australia didn't really make much sense.
No,
but when I was 8 years old, like I didn't know anything like that. So my mom would take me to SeaWorld, and we wouldn't spend any time with the dolphins or the sharks or anything like that. We spent the whole day in this polar bear sort of enclosure. Cool. Just watching that. So
I guess like the dolphins and sharks and stuff are fairly straightforward stuff, right?
That's it. It's like I can go out and see those anyway. Looking back, it's like polar bears in plus 40 degrees. It doesn't really make too much sense, but watching my mom just like really get captivated by polar bears.
Okay.
She's no longer with us anymore, and it makes me wonder like what she'd think of me being in the polar bear capital of the world, and what she'd think of seeing polar bears in their natural habitats.
Yeah, that's more than most. I mean, like you're saying, most people in Manitoba haven't even gone up there because it's like it's kind of a difficult place to get to in a way. I mean, you can't just take the car and drive up there. But,
Well, I talked to people across Canada. I used to live in Newfoundland for a little bit as well, and they were like, "What? There are whales in Manitoba? There isn't even like a coast." I'm like, "Well, no, there's the North Coast. Yeah, that's it." So everybody talks about East Coast lifestyle and like West Coast, Best Coast. It's just like, no, somebody needs to get a T-shirt with like North Coast on it. Manitoba.
Yeah, right in the middle. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, polar bears are super cool. I agree with you for sure. But it's I guess, what do you think of the? Have you been to the exhibit at the zoo?
I have. So how
does that? I mean, obviously it doesn't compare because it's not. It's a mock-up of the real thing, I guess.
It is a mock-up. Like I was walking around and going, "Oh, this is a bit weird." But seeing the polar bears there, and there's a whole bunch of controversy about are we taking polar bears from Churchill just to like keep polar bears in Winnipeg?
Right.
Yeah. So there's a bit of conflict between the town and Winnipeg for that one. But my friend Cal Bateski and I did a performance in the polar bear sort of enclosure last year. Cool. So I was playing all these whale sounds, and polar bears were kind of swimming over the top of me, and that's incredible. That's cool. But it's incredible, but conflicting at the same time. So,
right. Yeah. At least they made it bigger, though. I don't know if you would have been around to see the zoo before they made that whole enclosure, but it was fairly small.
Oh, really? Okay, right. This was last year. So,
so it's better.
It's building up. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
What do your friends in Australia think of this whole endeavor? I mean, maybe not just...
Oh, they think I'm nuts, obviously.
Yeah.
No, but I've got a good bunch of friends that are supporting me musically as well, and they absolutely dig what I'm doing, and I'll be going back to Australia to see her to play at these festivals, so we're going to see what a lot of, like, the majority of Australians would think of it.
Right, because it's, yeah. It'll be interesting.
Well, yeah, there'd obviously be a connection because everybody, lives on the coast, so they can actually, have a connection with ocean wildlife and the whales and whatever, which was kind of a point of, use your words, it made me wonder what Manitobans would think of whale sounds.
Yeah.
But it's so alien to people that they're intrigued as well. So there isn't so much a connection, but it's just like an intrigue. So, yeah.
Do you have any interest in like kind of taking that and sort of using it as an educational sort of tool? Like, hey, check it out. This exists. Like,
well, yeah, pretty much. Well, I kind of feel like if there's ever going to be a line of communication between humans and animals, music's going to be a part of it somewhere. Right, because
language isn't going to work.
Yeah, exactly. So, like last year I was able to meet up with a scientist called Valeria. Okay. She works at the Vancouver Aquarium and she studies beluga vocalizations. Oh, cool. So she's able to listen back to these belugas and kind of decipher what they're saying.
What they're saying to you when you play
them? So that's what we're going to be doing this year, hopefully.
Cool.
So
we'll
get her
done any of that yet, or is that...
Not yet. So like I met her last year and she was like super intrigued with what I was doing. Yeah. So we're going to team up and try and do something this year. So
do you have any concept of what they might be? Like, I mean, what are you hoping, I guess?
Oh, they're going to tell me I'm pitchy or something.
Tell you to shut up, right?
Yeah, pretty much, right? It's like, it'd be fun to see what happens with it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
If they want me to shut up, I'll shut up and leave them alone. But if they're enjoying what I'm doing, I'm gonna.
Well, it sounds like they are. If they're at least curious, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So is this like when you're in Churchill? In addition to doing this, are you playing regular shows as well?
Yeah. So last year I was able to participate in a festival called Seawalls. Okay. So Cal Boseski organised 17 artists from all over the world to come up to Churchill and paint these massive murals all over town. And for the closing ceremony, I organised a street party where I was performing in front of one of the more dramatic murals. Cool. It was depicting sort of like an Arctic apocalypse. So we had this tiny polar bear cub kind of holding on to an iceberg on fire. Oh, cool. That sounds awesome. So yeah, it's metal as fuck, but so I decided, right, I'm going to throw a street party, I'm going to perform in front of this, and we'll see what happens. It was amazing, except for one thing. It was the first day that the mosquitoes started coming back to Manitoba. Yeah. So I was playing along, and then was just like whacking mosquitoes with my bow and just throwing in these dramatic sort of movements.
How do the people up there, are they like intrigued in the idea of an Australian coming up there to do this?
Oh, there's a bunch of Aussies now. I've done, I've messed up. I've told too many people about it. Now there's so many Australians in Churchill.
That's cool, actually.
It's a little weird. Like, I guess it's similar to all the Australians going out to band and stuff like that. Yeah. But I never thought it'd happen in Churchill.
No, it's a little bit off the map, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It also falls in a season. So polar bear season kind of happens, sort of like October, November, which is kind of like a down season for like little ski fields. So what happens is we get all these people from Jasper, Banff, and Whistler coming out to Churchill for those 6 weeks of polar bear season, making the money, then go back into work and Whistler. So
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, well, seasonal work, you can make it work for yourself.
Sure, yeah. Well, especially as a musician too.
Yeah, oh god, yeah.
Take your time. When you perform live, I mean, is it just you solo with, you mentioned the looping stuff?
Yeah, just me solo for now. Like, I'd really love to have a band back together. Yeah. So 2 years ago back in Australia, I had a band, and best band in the world. I was crazy to leave Australia. But,
but polar bears.
But polar bears. That's what I tell people all the time. So yeah, it's making me a better musician playing by myself because I can't blame anyone else. Right. Not that I would, but I can't blame anyone else.
Right, when you're in a band with a lot of people, you can tell, it was that guy, bro.
Yeah, right. And nobody else is carrying my stuff, so it's made me stronger independently and as a musician just to do it myself. But when I go back to Australia and I have a bit more time just to like cement myself in one place, I'll get a band and whatever. Like I've already started like thinking about my dream band here in Winnipeg. So hopefully I get my residency and I can sort something out. But
your dream band in terms of people that you already know in the
music? Totally, yeah.
Are you willing to reveal who it is?
Well, I've been playing a bunch of shows with Dana Kowalski recently. Amazing harp player, amazing piano player. She's classically trained and just like 4 octaves. Not that she'd be singing in my group, but
unless it's whale songs. But
yeah, pretty much. That'd be interesting to see how Dana would do that. Then there's a guy called Sandy who plays drums. He's amazing. I've seen him play around for a little while. And
Have you asked any of these people if they want to do it? Or?
Oh yeah, I've asked them, and they're super keen. But I just need to find the time to actually stay put in one place, and it doesn't happen often. So
especially with having to go back and forth from country to country too.
From country to country and town to town, it's just kind of tough. Yeah.
Sure. Is there? I mean, do you have any idea of whether there are other instruments that might also appeal to the whales? I mean, like...
Oh, yeah. So we've had other people come up to Churchill and play certain instruments as well. So we had a guy called Brian come up and play to whales like 4 years ago, like way before my time here in Manitoba. And he was singing to whales. He was playing flute. He was drumming. One thing I do want to explore is he was singing bowls. Okay. So like put a singing bowl onto the hull of the Zodiac and just like kind of make it resonate and reverberate. And
see if it doesn't...
Yeah, see if anybody is keen on it. So yeah.
Because I mean the cello thing is just because you already played cello. That was why that's the instrument.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I wonder if there's anything...
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe they really like saxophones. Who knows?
Yeah, right. Well, no, we'll get Dana up with the harp and we'll see what happens. Yeah.
That's super neat. Yeah. So when you perform this stuff live, I mean, not to the whales, but to an audience of people.
You know.
Do you give any context? Like, do you explain sort of?
I do explain. I like to tell people about Churchill because I do consider it my second home, and then I give it the context and contrast of like I'm coming from 40-degree heat, humidity, disgusting sort of like, and then jumping into minus 40. Yeah. And telling people that I actually prefer to minus 40, they're like, oh, you're crazy. And I'm like, no. Here's how it is. And it's like,
Have you become acclimatized to that by now?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Totally cool.
Like this is way too hot for me.
It is, me too. It's weird. It's weird how that happens because I know people who have moved here from countries in Africa and stuff too. Yeah. And at first they're horrified, and then within like a couple weeks it's like
you get used to it. You just need to buy a decent jacket. Like there's no bad weather. It's just bad clothes.
Yeah, for sure. So you have a show before you go back to Churchill.
Yes.
It's happening here in Winnipeg.
So I get to play the West End Cultural Centre for the first time.
Good venue.
Carrie Stevens gave me a quick tour of it. I was like, holy fuck. I am screwed. So I'm opening for a guy called Tim Hecker, who's originally from Montreal. Okay. He's pretty well renowned as a composer and sort of like sound artist, I guess. So his shows are very ethereal. So you walk into the room and it's all fog and dark and just like very minimal lighting. So hopefully I get to hijack his fog machine and we can see what happens. So.
For sure.
But yeah, I'm intimidated. I'm practicing like hell. So yeah.
And that's just you as well?
Just me, and then Tim's coming on and he's gonna enchant everyone. So cool. Yeah.
With being a cellist, do you? I guess I think like you think of a cello player, you think it's maybe classical.
Weddings.
Yeah, weddings, classical music. Right. So I mean, doing kind of more cinematic stuff. I mean, it makes sense. Obviously.
Oh yeah.
And you mentioned post rock too. I mean, all of those things make sense for what you're doing, but
especially.
Do you have to explain? I mean, is it hard to kind of get across that like
not to Canadians?
I'm not the guy at the wedding.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I do get asked about weddings. I used to busk into Skywalk, and I'd have people coming along and it's like, oh, do you do weddings? I'm like, well, yeah, I do. And then I charge this much, and like, oh, that's way beyond my budget. And I'm like, I've got a quartet for less than that. And I was like, well, good luck to you. It's like, but this is my fee. This is what I do. Yeah. But explaining that I do sort of like post-rock music to Canadians, I feel like Canadians have a bit more of a grasp on post-rock and instrumental music, just with everything coming out of Montreal.
Sure. Do you find, have you found like connections within the local music scene here in Winnipeg of people who are doing kind of more atmospheric stuff?
For sure. Like the problem I'm having at the moment is because I am a solo musician, I'm not getting shows with bands. Exactly. Which is something I really want to be doing. It's like you could put me on a bill with a post-rock band, you could put me on a bill with a metal band or a rock band, and they'd find some intrigue in that. Yeah, they'd find something to be fascinated about because it is just so like out of the way and different. So But we did just have 2 cellos come through town, so I don't know if that's going to pick up anything, but we'll see.
So who have you been playing with mostly? Is it mostly just you and
just me and like solo musicians? So I did a show at the Goodwill for New Music Night.
Oh, cool.
So I did that with Carrie Stevens, and that was a lot of fun. And then I did a couple of like house shows with Dana Klasky.
you are there bands that are kind of maybe more well known that you sort of would affiliate your sound with, that people, because post rock I find is such a nebulous term, like it's
so open.
I mean, I have an idea of what it sounds like, but that's not necessarily what someone in a post rock band is going to say it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have anyone you can point to, kind of influence wise, whether they sound like you or not?
Exactly. So influence wise, like I love a lot of Icelandic music as well. So that was what I was most intrigued about when coming to Manitoba. Is you've got this Icelandic connection here as well. I only went to Gimli for the first time a couple of weeks ago.
Great, I love it.
Oh, it's awesome. Love to do a show up there at some point. But I love Sigur Rós. I love a composer called Anna Zauzdóttir. She does very sort of like cryptic, ethereal stuff as well. Godspeed.
Okay. Yeah, they're the Canadian band there. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Godspeed, Arcade Fire. Like the first time I heard No Cars Go, that was just like, okay, I can actually do this. Cool. I want to build these sounds and make it to the point of breaking, essentially. So yeah. Do you feel? I mean, just mentioning the Icelandic stuff, and then obviously Churchill with its kind of barren, cold landscape. Yeah. Did you feel like that kind of music sort of fits that scenery? Oh yeah. So there was definitely an influence from like nature and geography there as well. So.
And like, is it? I mean, does it play differently if you're listening to something you recorded, in Churchill, and then listening to it when you're back in Australia? Does it feel out of place? Or?
Well, yeah. I did a show recently at the Forks over the weekend, and it kind of felt a little bit jarring because it was so nice outside, and my stuff is meant to be listened to in the dark and cold and whatever. So doing it outside was kind of like, ooh, this is interesting. So,
Well, it's interesting because like I do feel like there's not everyone's albums, but there are some albums that they're seasonal. Like
there's a season.
And I know yours, you have the seasons kind of. In order.
Well, it kind of works that way. So I was picked up by Travel Manitoba to do this sort of like travel conference tour with them. Okay. So they were using my music to kind of promote Manitoba, which was like the highest compliment I've ever been given ever. Yeah. So that was really cool, and people were picking up on it. They really enjoyed a couple of certain different themes. So I've got a new song called Ghosting, which I kind of dedicate to sort of like the native peoples of each land that colonization has kind of like ripped and torn at the natural beauty of their land. And I had the leader of Aboriginal tourism come up to me in Calgary saying, there's this one song that you play. It's like, it's really dark and eerie. I was like, that one's called Ghosting, and it's kind of for you as well. So, and she was like, you need a throat singer. I was like,
that would be so cool.
Yes, I need a throat singer. And what I want to do in Australia is have a didgeridoo player as well.
Okay.
Because it kind
of... mixing the two kind of,
so like it'd be insane to get like Tanny Sagak and William Boston from Australia together in Australia, and just like, whoa.
Should do it.
Chills,
Sagak is ridiculous. Like,
man. She is insane. Like, she's just been booked to play this festival in Tasmania over the winter as well. Cool. And I'm telling all my friends, like, if you see anybody sing Sagak.
She's incredible. That'd be cool. Yeah. Do you like? Not to dwell too much on the whole, two different countries, two different cultures and things, but I mean, what did you kind of expect about Canada before you came here? Is it what you thought here? Or?
Well, I got to visit on this couch surfing trip before I got my visa to actually work here. So, like, my first trip to Canada was actually in Montreal, and I was on a bus from Boston and going into Montreal. I was like, fuck, I forgot they speak French in Montreal. And going there, the people are lovely, obviously. Like, everyone in Canada is lovely, so...
Most of us anyway.
Yeah, well, that's it. But the Australian stereotype is, you get the plaid, you get the mountains, you get the lumberjacks and the maple syrup and whatever. And there's just so much more than that,
That stuff's still there.
Well, it's here, of course. It's like, the poutine better here, though, I'll say that.
Awesome. So if someone is hearing about you for the first time on this show, I mean, you're going to be in Churchill probably
for the next 6 months,
But what can they do to find out more information about what you're doing?
So you can find me at my website, robknaggs.com. I'm pretty active on Instagram and Facebook as well, so you can check me out there. Yeah.
And you'll probably be posting photos.
Yeah, posting photos and videos. If you type in beluga cello, you'll find a bunch of videos of me on the Churchill River playing beluga whales. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And then you have an album that is out now?
I've got an album out now. It's called Up the Middle. It's the 4 seasons of Churchill, Manitoba. I put it out last year. It's with a full band. I've got a new release coming, maybe in September.
Cool.
So hopefully I get a couple of weeks to come down to Winnipeg and actually put it out and everybody can enjoy.
Cool. Yeah. Where can people get the album now? Is it, online, I'm assuming?
Online you can check me out at Bandcamp. There'll be a link on my website that you can go straight to there. So
cool.
I also have some new t-shirts out. They're white, especially for whiteouts. So
makes sense,
they've got a polar bear on it. So.
Well, I'm white for polar bears too, right?
Exactly. And proceeds from this t-shirt are actually going to a polar bear fund organised by Cal And
That's
so
awesome.
that'll be funding sort of non-invasive polar bear research.
So you're like walking the walk. As
Well, exactly. Like you got to help out some way. So
For sure, yeah. Okay, and then if someone is actually in Churchill listening to this, how do they?
How they can find me?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I'll be working at a fly-in lodge this year.
Okay.
So if you want to come see me, you can check out a tour company called Churchill Wild. And they run polar bear lodges where you can go to a lodge, get the best feed of your life, be completely in the dark. You can fly in, see whales, and have polar bears come up directly to you.
That's awesome.
As opposed to you going out and chasing polar bears.
Right, and those big trucks, cool.
Big tundra buggy.
That's what it's called. Yeah. Cool. And so you have the show coming up. You want to just plug that again one time?
Yeah, so I'm performing on May 16th at the Western Cultural Centre, opening for Tim Hecker. It'll be my last show before going up to Churchill, so if you want to see me, you got to come to our show.
Come to the show.
And definitely come to the show. Tim Hecker will blow your mind, honestly. Yeah.
And you get to hear whale music.
Yeah, you get to hear whale music. You sit in the dark and you'll be like, whoa.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool.
So is that you're going to make it dark in there, like lights?
Oh yeah. So if I can hijack Tim Hecker's fog machine, I'm going to. So yes.
Fog machines are always good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And if you want to hear more episodes of this show, go to witchpolice.com. All 290 some episodes at this point are there for free download and streaming. You can tune into UMFM on Sunday nights at midnight, and those are old episodes that kind of get a second win. So it's late April now, might not air till September, but by then, I mean.
Yeah, I'll probably be back by then.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yes, and you have your new album that you're working on. Maybe it'll be out by then.
Yeah.
Then people hear it. So, yeah, awesome. Thanks again. And,
Sam, thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.